the Kandahar giant of Afghanistan. My name is Bill. Welcome to the Night Terrors Weekend Show. And we're starting right now. Tonight's first topic, welcome to Eldergrown and Oh No, it's Taco. Welcome, Mike, Synchro 505. Good to see you, Michael. Tonight's first topic is the Kandahar giant of Afghanistan, or some people say the giant of Kandahar. But of course, this is a viewer request show, so if you have requests, please submit them in chat, make them flashy so I can see them. This, by the way, is our Night Terrors weekly schedule coming up here in a second. This is our Night Terrors weekly schedule. Why do I say all the time? I looked at my, they now transcript every YouTube video, so I'm looking at myself saying, This is the Night Terrors weekly schedule. We're live on Saturday, which is where you are right now, on YouTube and Twitch. Movie night is on Wednesday. Of course, movie night on Wednesday is only on Twitch. And don't forget to catch every classic Night Terrors episode on Rumble, running Monday through Friday. They're being uploaded at 12 noon Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 5 days a week, every weekday, in their original order. And we're still in the early beginning periods of the uploading. So don't miss all the episodes of the classic Night Terrors on Rumble. Finally, speaking of movie night, coming up this Wednesday and hosted by Gotcha Man is Dying Room Only, starring Cloris Leachman, Phyllis of the Mary Tyler Moore universe, Ross Martin, who played second fiddle to Wild James West, and Ned Beatty, who perhaps is most famous for squealing like a pig in Deliverance. Also, the second feature is Quintet, starring Paul Newman. It's a post-apocalyptic world of games and a classic science fiction movie. Gotcha Man says should be good. I know we can depend on Gotcha Man to be so. Thank you, Gotcha Man. That's coming up this Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, only on Twitch. It's movie night on Night Terrors. Guest hosted by Gotcha Man. Welcome Raquel on YouTube, and Jack11 is here, as well as KDS. How are you? Green Tea has arrived. Welcome, Green Tea. Okay, let's get started, shall we? I just finished Under the Wire tonight. I knew I should have started 2 hours before. I started an hour and 40 minutes before the show instead of 2 hours before. I really should have started earlier. So hopefully everything's going to be up to snuff here on starting off. I found this page at militarytimes.com and a story written by Jeff Zizulowitz and John Simpkins. Here Be Giants, Tales of the Military and Afghan Colossi. Green Tea asked, do you need suggestions? Yes, this is also a viewer suggestion night. I'm only starting off with a known topic so I can have a thumbnail and everything. And attract viewers. Welcome 2112 Renee. Yes, if you would so deign, Green Tea, yes, please, suggestions would be wanted. Verpine has arrived. The Imjarvi Imp, and with the first suggestion. Thank you, Verpine. Coming up. Taco says, I told you about my cousin who was a major in the Red Army who saw this giant. It knocked out one of his lieutenants. Wow. Cool. It takes a lot of guts to get to major. Dinosaur feathers found in amber. Ooh, is that a separate one, Green Tea? Yeah, because that's your first suggestion. Good one, Green Tea. Thank you. I got to rename this to show it was from, and I forgot already. First commenter, especially in the Red Army. Oh, it was, okay. Shazbot Shiznit has arrived. Welcome, Shazbot. Just doing some paperwork here. The first idea was from Verpine, right. So I will note that, please. Home Verpine. I don't want to forget to give credit when the time comes. But of course, we are starting with the Kandahar Giant. And the story begins. Like any military campaign, those who fought in the Afghanistan war hold memories both shared and personal. We speak, of course, of the giants of Afghanistan, creatures from times past and parts unknown, who were purportedly spotted outside U.S. garrisons once upon a time. Encounters with these beings, which some outlets claim to have occurred during service member deployments to Afghanistan, were recently recapped on the Havoc Journal blog, a website dedicated to veterans, news, and issues. Well, then why aren't we reading it there? The accounts below originally appeared on Tales from the Grid Square, a collection of military encounters with the supernatural penned by Nick Orton. Let's go to the Havoc Journal first. Here's the original source then. What is this? We can get rid of that for now. The Havoc Journal. Subscribe. Enemy unknown, high strangeness in the shadow of the Afghan war, written by special guest. Just 3 days ago. We thought our readers might enjoy a paranormal-themed article. Nick is an off-duty soldier with an interest in all things strange. That's the author. And Nick begins, welcome back to the Lethal Minds Journal for this special edition. The war in Afghanistan may be over, quote-unquote, but there's no denying the effects it had on a generation of war fighters for years to come. Tragedy was born, heroes were made, and the actions of many will forever hold a mythic status for the U.S. military. Movies are still up on the screen. Thank you, Taco. I really got to learn how to do that stuff. How about this? Thank you, Taco. Afghanistan, for all intents and purposes, is an ancient place. Blood has been spilled into her soil for countless generations. She still bears the scars of war from when Alexander the Great stepped foot on her soil. And for her, that's recent history. For those who fought in her impossibly high mountains and decadently beauty fields of poppies, Afghanistan is a place of incredible harshness and beauty that will be forever seared into their minds. Plenty of war stories abound from the war. What we often don't hear about is how mysterious Afghanistan really is. The country has been described as a place out of time, a mystery even to those who call it home. Islamic and tribal lore and myths swirl in our long history. Legends take on new definition to the people in the forgotten corners of Afghanistan. The places are so remote that no living Afghani or any interloper has ever set foot there. During the war, many members of the U.S. military and the coalition would encounter activity that would defy normality. UFOs, cryptids. Many bore witness to the immense and immeasurable mystery of the country. What they witness is often kept close to the heart. And what you're about to read, let's get to the meat. Giants are a storied tale of myth and legend. Almost every culture has a tale of massive humanoids. They usually predate man. A story made famous on Art Bell's Coast to Coast, AM, was the account of the Giant of Kandahar. The story revolves around a special force team encountering a giant red-headed man with 6 fingers on each hand and a double row of teeth. Details which the author might add are shared by many stories and accounts of giants from a dozen cultures. There are many accounts of soldiers who have reported seeing massive humanoids that tower over the normal man in Afghanistan. There are stories out there. Not many are going to come forward and claim they saw a massive man running around the mountains of that country, but perhaps there is something truly massive out there. The giant of Kunar. Oh, that's it for the giant of Kandahar? Giants on the feed. Okay, let's go back to the other article then. During the war, many members of the U.S. military and coalition would encounter activity that would defy normality. This author writes on Havoc Journal. Chief among those terrifying encounters was an incident in 2002 with the giant of Kandahar, a biblical cryptid creature that special forces stumbled upon as the giant was doing things like cooking food and minding his business. According to online accounts, the giant, who was said to be responsible for an entire patrol going missing, stood a towering 13 foot tall. It sported a shock of flaming red hair, had 6 fingers on each hand, and 2 rows of teeth for gnashing. Upon contact, the giant purportedly killed one U.S. service member with a spear. That's a hot link. Only to be vanquished by the rest of the unit. Courtesy of 30 seconds of sustained gunfire, according to an account on allthat'sinteresting.com. As the story goes, the soldiers loaded the giant's corpse onto a helicopter. It was never seen again. Okay, so does that go to the All That's Interesting account? Here's a link. Let's try the hot link. No, this is a cryptid. Whoa! This is a cryptid fandom, cryptidz.fandom.com. That's a story. That's a artwork of the account of the Kandahar giant. And here it says at cryptidz.fandom.com, the giant in an unattributed article. The giant of Kandahar was an enormous humanoid creature, encountered and killed by a group of American Army soldiers. Now, there instead of special forces, here it's American Army, on a mountainside in Afghanistan. Stephen Quayle spoke of an occurrence which is still classified by the U.S. government in his popular radio show, Coast to Coast. The events allegedly, his popular radio show, Stephen Quayle, news to me. The events allegedly happened in 2002, a mere 22 years past, in a desert part of Afghanistan, when a U.S. Army squad went missing. It was a special ops task force, branch unknown, possibly Rangers, considering that the missing squad was Army. They were sent to find out what had happened, and the soldiers walked along a ragged mountainous trail. Oh, they were sent to find out what happened to the Army squad. Okay. The previous squad. The soldiers walked along a ragged mountainous trail until arriving at the entrance of a large cave. Pieces of broken U.S. military equipment and gear were scattered all around the clearing. The task force was about to enter the cave to explore its recesses when a giant between 12 and 15 feet, red-headed, 6-digited, double-toothed humanoid emerged and attacked the soldiers. The giant impaled one soldier with a giant spear and appeared to attack the rest of the squad, proceeded to attack the rest of the squad. The witness stated it took 30 seconds of continuous fire to down the giant. At least that detail does correspond. Refreshing here to get live reports on my other unit. Between them, the squad was armed with full auto M4 carbines, recon carbines, which are semi-auto, and M107 Barrett anti-material rifles, firing .50 BMG. This much firepower concentrated on one target for 1 second, let alone 30, would be extremely destructive. According to the witness, the giant wore canvas or animal hide to protect its feet like moccasins and smelled like dead bodies. The creature's body was airlifted back to the squad's base by a helicopter and net. From there, it was loaded into an aircraft and taken away, never to be seen again. Upon their return, the soldiers were made to sign non-disclosure paperwork to stop word from spreading of their encounter. The witness states he broke his silence because people have a right to know what's happening on the planet. An enlightened GI. Okay, now there's one other hot link here to an article at allthat'sinteresting.com. Taco says it's a pukey-smelling giant. Green Tea wants to know, are there stories of lady giants? And very happy men. Okay. At allthat'sinteresting.com, I am not seeing it. It looks like we have to search for it. Not a very good hot link. Okay, where's the search then? Search. Let's search Kandahar. Kandahar Giant being the first common search. Let's search Kandahar Giant. Yeah, it looks like only one article. That's amazing, only one. By Bernadette Giacomazzo. Edited by John Karosky. The real story of the Kandahar Giant, the 13-foot cryptid purportedly killed by U.S. Special Ops. In 2002, an elite tactical team was said to have killed the Kandahar Giant, a 13-foot tall beast with flaming red hair, 6 fingers and 2 sets of teeth. In August of 2016, a YouTuber posted a lengthy interview with a military contractor, identified only as Mr. K. In the interview, Mr. K claimed to have been present during the brutal slaughter of a killer he called the Giant of Kandahar. The killing of the giant, he said, took place during the height of Operation Enduring Freedom, in the year 2002, when the military was engaged in fierce battles with the Taliban in their de facto capital in Kandahar province during the U.S. action in Afghanistan. But this was no human fighter. The Kandahar Giant, Mr. K said, was 13 feet tall. It killed one of the Special Forces soldiers with a spear before the rest of the unit brought it down with 30 seconds of sustained gunfire. And after they radioed it in, the Army took away its corpse and has hidden it ever since. Why were the Special Forces sent out, or the Special Task Force sent out? Because in 2002, a group of soldiers went missing while on patrol in a remote mountain region of Kandahar, in the south of Afghanistan. And when they failed to make radio contact for some time, the military sent in a special ops unit to investigate, though the branch of the armed forces they belonged to was never confirmed. And then high up in the mountains, the unit came across a cave. The investigatory unit came across a cave with scattered army equipment found around, but no sign of the missing soldiers, and that's when they chanced upon the giant. Some reports suggesting the humanoid was as tall as 15 feet. It had leather moccasins. It impaled one of the soldiers with a spear. After the troops killed the giant, they loaded it onto a Chinook helicopter, which carried it to a transport plane where no one ever saw it again. The soldiers were forced to sign non-disclosure agreements so the government could keep them all quiet. But eventually the soldiers broke their silence because, as one of the men would later say, the people have a right to know the truth. Taco says they probably hid the body in the Vatican archives. Eldergone says half orc, half barbarian. Eldergone says the tales of... Ooh, I got an interesting comment from Eldergone here somewhere. Where'd it go? The tales of Amazons... The tales of the Amazons were from the ancient Greeks, were they not? Eldergone asks. Did they also live on the island of Lesbos? 2112 Renee commenting, top men. No doubt. Welcome to SJF, and the Master of Disaster. Or just Master Disaster. Oh, we have a suggestion from Master Disaster. The giant of the Japan military parade. Ah, right on topic. Thank you, Master. Welcome to Feathers on YouTube. Two Feathers, come on over to Twitch if you can. Same to all you guys over there suffering on YouTube. Come over to the party we're having on Twitch, where your comment is much more likely to be seen. I do see what you're saying, Two Feathers, but very rarely, because Twitch is actually the only place I'm getting paid. YouTube no longer pays me, so I really would prefer my audience to come on over to Twitch, where the party is. Come on over to the party. Come over to Twitch. This is a non-paid Twitch advertisement. Nose Pickin' providing the link. Thank you, Nose Pickin'. So let's check out the that link from the Master Disaster. We'll go here first, I guess. Paste. Giant of the Japan military parade. Yeah, I remember that video. We can't show that video, but there might be an article about it. Super Jainsu, literally translated as super giants, is a Japanese superhero featured in a successful series of serial-like tokusatsu short feature films produced between 1957 and 1959 by Shin Toho, the non-union branch of Toho. He is also known in Japan as Giant of Steel, known in the United States as Starman, and known in France and Italy as Spaceman, Japan's first on-screen superhero. Super Giant. But this is not the super giant he's talking about. No, it's not. This is a superhero who is not a giant, but who may become a giant, I guess. Who knows? Or cares? We need the giant of the military parade. Here's something from Pinterest where we'll get a good look at him, hopefully. Old Aberdonian, it says here with Scotty. That's a pretty cool robot. Pinterest. You gotta love Pinterest. A robot of the 50s, I take it. Here with Scotty. Old Aberdonian. How about old Aldebaran? Okay, so we're looking for the giant. Where is it? Do we have to search for it? Evidently, we do have to search for it. Unless it's in this guy's collection. Can we search among this guy's collection? We'll search for Kandahar, right? Kandahar? No. Military. No, giant. Just giant. How about the full quote? I mean, the full comment. Japanese giant in military parade. There we go. Take it from YouTube. Where'd it go? How do I do this? Closer. Can I make it bigger? Can I make it even bigger? Yes, please. So that's the military parade. And there's the giant. Pardon me. Elder says that's from a movie for sure. Taco says it sure is a big boy. Rapine remembering a quote from Star Trek. What is it? Scotty, it's green. Nose Pickens says the Kandahar giant picture came from a Native American book. Oh, cool. Well, no, we can't watch a video, Nose Pickin'. We can maybe look at the thumbnail. Steal our land, our bones, and our stories. Really? Which one of the pictures? I hope not my thumbnail. Yeah, that's not a Kandahar giant. Elder going with a image. Thank you, Elder. There's another one from the same film clip. Thank you, Elder. I can see why they were so proud of him. Taco wants to know, did the Japan parade giant have red hair? Hard to know, since this was evidently done during World War II and in black and white. So really hard to tell. T. Ceratops, welcome, sir. Two feathers talking behind my back. SJF says no, that his hair is black. Taco, according to SJF, that hair is black. Thank you, SJF. Yeah, I don't check often, Two Feathers. Just because I like you. That's the only reason I'm checking so often. WJ says, just like Goliath and his brothers. Red hair, 6 digits, gigantic. Looks like about 5 people came over, though, from YouTube. Come on over to Twitch. Come on. Come on. Come on over to Twitch. Oh, how did I get rid of that? No, I didn't. It's here somewhere. Good. Come on over. Come on. Nose Pickin says, just look, it's my video. Giant pictures are compared at the end, 1 minute, 20 seconds. Yeah, Nose Pickin. It's your video, huh, buddy? I'm sorry, bud. I gotta have a hard and fast rule, no video. I'm so sorry. My apologies. I believe it's your video. Oh, it says Nose Pickin'. Cool. Yeah, by the way, why don't you guys check out Nose Pickin's channel on YouTube? This is how you spell it. Let me get a picture of this. PRT of the page. And where is picture? Screenshots right there. Let me show you what his nose looks like. What his name looks like on YouTube. And that is here, control, page up. Okay. Here you see at the top of the screen. That's how you spell Nose Pickin'. And that's Nose Pickin's channel on YouTube. Check it out. Let's see if we can get him over 1,000 subscribers at the channel of Nose Pickin'. And you can get to see a video that you can't see on here. So check out Nose Picking on YouTube. Thank you, Nose Picking. Eldergrown with a movie link. Thank you, Eldergrown. Big Man Japan. An eccentric man living alone in a decrepit house in Tokyo periodically transforms into a 100-foot-tall giant in order to defend Japan against similarly sized monsters. That sounds fucking excellent. How many stars does it have? I bet it's over 7. 6.2. I bet it is over 7 though. And we're not going to do the trailer, but let's see if what else they have about it. Rent or buy. Search on Amazon, add to watch list. See production info. Directed by Hitoshi Matsumoto, excuse me. Storyline. Same thing. Trivia. Despite premiering at the Cannes Film Festival, the film was not released theatrically in France, going instead straight to DVD. Featured in the Rotten Tomatoes show Observe and Report /Gigantic /Hannah Montana the movie. Refreshing change from your typical monster movie. I got a chance to see this at the Toronto International Film Festival, and I found this to be quite refreshing and one more of the original films I've seen in the past little while. A brief synopsis is that a documentary film crew follows a mid-aged slacker who basically has nothing going for him in life. But what's odd is he has the power to grow to the size of a building and fight monsters. The comedy during the interviews and daily life of Dai is very subtle. There is no music track to speak of, and his facial expressions are muted. The monster scenes are hilarious, and the last 10 minutes made me laugh so hard. If you are very open-minded with comedy, this is for you. But don't expect a typical giant monster movie. I hear my neighbor bringing out his trash. I have a new neighbor. The old neighbor sucked. The old neighbor had me arrested. I love my new neighbor. It was because of a non-physical verbal argument. It was just a verbal argument. Guy had me arrested. State police. State police. Thank you. You jerk. Cost me a fortune to be completely exonerated. Eldergrown says, it's garbage day. Renee says, Godzilla versus Big Man Japan. T-Ceratops has just subscribed to me. Has just subscribed to Nose Pickin'. Way to go, T-Ceratops. Let me say that again. T-Ceratops has just subscribed to Nose Pickin'. As all you should. Green Tea says, what a jerk. Glad he's gone. Yeah. They need I was a little bigger then, but I lost they needed my arms wouldn't go all the way around comfortably for the handcuffs, so now they can. Now that I lost a couple of pounds. But so they had to use 2 pairs of handcuffs on me. I got out of it. Cost me $2.5K to get out of it, but I got out of it. Yeah, $2,500 it cost me. My freaking neighbor. But I wasn't gonna go public defender at that point in time. I probably should have saved the money because I don't have that much. I really don't. That laid me flat for a year. Spending that $2,500, I had no extra money for a freaking year. Okay. Let us decide. He should be 6. That's all right. Thank you. Thank you. Oh no, it's Taco. Yeah, but that looks more like someone who photoshopped the giant into the Indians rather than the Indians having their. So this is the photo spoken of by Nose Pickin, who said that my thumbnail was taken from there. Here's the thumbnail, the full thumbnail. Full thumbnail picture. He said my thumbnail was taken from there, but from the looks of this picture, it looks the other way around. It looks like that this picture was rather amateurishly photoshopped from the artwork I found. That's the same. That's definitely the same character. But Nose Pickin, that looks original to you? The Indian picture looks more original than this picture? Welcome, Anthony Dilbert. I'm sorry. Well, welcome, Anthony Dybart. No comment yet from, or is there a comment from Thomas Trevino agrees. They didn't scalp him. It's not real, says Two Feathers. KP is here on YouTube. Hey, guys, if you're on YouTube, come on over to Twitch where the party is. YouTube rots. Twitch is where the cool guys are. Synchro says, we only have a couple of clocks left. They need to be manually set. Kind of creepy. Too many online devices. Oh gosh. What's the real time? Oh geez, I'm gonna have to get something for real time. That means that you're gonna have to see RoboBill for a second. Give me a second. Okay. This is a nice clock I inherited from my grandmother. Caravel. Anyway, this is the time without daylight savings time, Eastern. Whoops, sorry. So that, in case the time changes on me, Synchro loves clocks like that. Yeah, I have two of them actually. One that I bought and one I inherited from my grandmother. Yeah, I inherited a couple things from her. I inherited this huge crucifix from her. It's really gorgeous, like really antique style. There should be a jingle for RoboBill, suggests 2112 Renee. Where Two Feathers is, it's 740. Yeah, I don't think it hurts to show that still picture, but 50 seconds of voice. 50 seconds of narration I'm going to have to get rid of. Not doing any videos if I can help it. Synchros wrote a tiki-style jingle that might work. Cool. Taco is 12 hours ahead down under in Australia. It's Nukel Shuffle's first time on Twitch today. Glad to bring you over. Dirty Tomato here is here as well. Dirty Tomato says, I love old clocks. I have several. My favorite is shaped like a daisy. It's my kitchen clock. Cool. Perfect clock for a kitchen. Next up. Okay, let's go to our next suggestion, shall we? Where did that picture go? Did I get rid of that? It's still here. Good. I think I tried to click on this and accidentally started the video. Anyway, we'll get this out of the way. Right about there. Next up, the topic is... Yeah, I went a little over on that topic. My apologies. Viewer suggested from Verpine. The Imjarvi Imp. We'll get rid of that. We'll get rid of that. The Imjarvi Elf, it's also called, evidently. The Imjarvi Goblin, it's also called. Humanoid Database. 1970 Imjarvi Incident. Let's look at that. At ufoevidence.org. Not a for-profit organization. Under extraterrestrial contact is the UFO case article from the Humanoid Sightings Database, a summary of the 1970 Imjarvi incident. Source Albert Rosales at the Humanoid Sightings Database. It's a brief summary of the humanoid encounter at Imjarvi in Finland in 1970. Article ID. Where's the original source? Albert Rosales Humanoid Sightings Database. Oh, how do you get there? Humanoid Sightings Database. Let's find out. Sorry, I'm leaning over here. I gotta adjust my body. Let's go here and go home and look for that. Humanoid Sightings Database. Come on, where is it? I don't see it anywhere. The Humanoid Sightings Database, really? Where is it? Here's a summary of humanoid sightings, Disclosure Project, Illinois sightings, Chicago enthusiasts, notable sightings. It says here is a summary of humanoid sightings. It just gives one state and one disclosure project. Does this even exist? Let's go to Google, put exclamation points around it. Copy it. And go to Google, because Google has Boolean search, Brave does not. So, require this in the answer. Thank you. First references for the article we're just reading. Humanoid sightings, Apache. Humanoid encounters. Summary of the Imjarvi incident. Is it at ufoevidence.org? Let's see. Let's duplicate this page. Because it's not anywhere else. Let us see. Going to the root page. Sighting reports. UFO sighting reports. But no, humanoid sighting reports. Summary of the Imjarvi incident. Looks like that's the only place we're going to find the humanoid sightings database, or a mention of it. It doesn't seem to be anywhere else at all. This is all the results on YouTube. Not YouTube. This is all the results on Google. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 images before it can find nothing else. Wait. Humanoid sales sightings. Sport AI consultants. What is that? That's the closest we're going to get to it. And or peertozoil.com. Let's try this one. Humanoid sales sightings? What is that? Just nothing. They no longer exist anyway. What about the one up here, which is close? This one's close. No longer there either. Iconic UFO encounter. At Reddit, they talk about the human sightings database. Two men encounter a UFO that beams down a strange goblin-like humanoid holding a black box. Both men experience sickness afterwards, including vomiting, numbness in the legs, and passing black urine. At Imjarvi, Finland, January 7th, 1970. Full story in the comments. Oh, yeah? Source. Here we go. Someone provided a source finally. Open link a new tab, and it's the same place. No, it starts with journal. Journal news. Remarkable UFO and humanoid incident near Imjarvi, Finland. No credited author. But this looks like the original source here. Let's use this one. Two Finnish men described a remarkable encounter near the village of Imjarvi. A humanoid appears in a blue beam of light, emanating from a UFO craft. Both men experienced physical maladies. It says here, awful physical maladies. Arno Heinonen and Esko Vilko saw a bright light in the sky, approaching them with a buzzing sound. A round 10-foot wide metallic object with a flat bottom, wrapped at first in a reddish-gray mist, descended to within 10 to 12 feet of the ground, and the buzzing ceased. It was so close to Heinonen that he could have touched it with his ski pole. From an opening in the center of the object's bottom, a bright light beam was emitted. Slight grammatical error there. Creating an illuminated area of 3 feet in diameter on the snow beneath, edged with black. Again, a red-gray mist descended. When it cleared, both men could see only 10 foot away a 3-foot-tall humanoid creature standing in the illuminated area, carrying in its hands a black box with a pulsating yellow light. The arms and legs were very thin, the face pale like wax, and the nose hooked. It wore a light green coverall with darker green knee boots, white gauntlets, and a conical metallic helmet. Then the mist again descended, and long red, green, and purple sparks floated from the lighted area. A sort of flame rose from this spot and entered the UFO. Then the mist vanished, as did the UFO. After this experience, Heinonen found his right leg numb, vomited, and passed black urine. Vilho also suffered severe physiological effects. Vilho would claim 2 years later a series of contacts with a female spacewoman. It says here source from the humanoid sightings database. Source Sven Olaf Friedrichsen and others, and K. Costaren for APRO, Albert Rosales. Humanoid sightings database, which doesn't exist. What the hell? Oh, green tea brings my attention to the links by Eldergrown and Verpine. Thank you, Elder and Verpine. Let me see if I can see those. Elder and Verpine with links up here. Looking for a link of any kind. I'm not seeing any links at all. Yet. I'm not seeing any links. Wait, we want from Verpine. From Rosales. Oh, he found it. Let's go here for that. Verpine found it. The Humanoid Contact Database. Oh, there's no S. No wonder. Or as they say in German, kein Wunder. There's no S in the database. And that's what they say, humanoid sightings database. At UFOevidence.org. It's humanoid sighting database. No wonder we couldn't find it. Thank you, Verpine. And Elder has one too. Let's see if where Elder's is. You're at the right one at Rosales, correct? We're at the right one. You looked at mine already, says Elder. Okay, we got Elders. This is Verpine's link. This is the Humanoid Contact Database. Type A, Type B, Type C, all the way to Type H. Albert Rosales actually took him a lot of time and effort to compile and organize this immense list of encounters with humanoid beings. It includes the year 2008 all the way back to 1990. And then prior to that, reports supposedly from 2357 BC to 1869 AD. For pre-1990 reports, consult the following external websites. Welcome, Kay Lorraine. Happy to see you too, Kay. Come visit us over on Twitch. It's no fun over on YouTube. Twitch is so much better. Come on. So the most recent year, 2008. Just because I didn't have the singular form of contact. Wait, where'd it go? What did I do wrong? Is it a link to nothing? It's a link to nothing, 2008 is. What's 2007? Another link to nothing. Well, that ain't good. What's 1990? A link to nothing. What is the early reports? A link to nothing. Well, that really sucks. If this is the database, there's nothing in it. Wait, suppose we go to the root. Investigation, Research, and Communication. IRAP. Investigation, Research, and Communication. Independent Researchers Association for Anomalous Phenomena. Reports. IRAP investigates more than just UFOs. News and notes. Anyway, back to the topic. Back to Amo Hainonen Nescovijo. Oh, that's the short form. Where's the long form? Thank you. After this experience, Hinonen found his right leg numbed, and he vomited, and he passed black urine. Vilhio also suffered severe physiological effects. Type B, when an entity or humanoid is seen entering or exiting a UFO. So that was a type B. Here's one from also from Finland, but it's part of a comment. It's not typed. It wasn't given a type. 1 out of 2 it says. And it says source. So we went to source. Okay, here's the source. Sorry. Takes me a while to retrace my steps all the way. There's another account from Finland, evidently. Or, no, this is the original account. I was standing completely still. This is from Arno Heinonen. Before we go do the Heinonen deposition, I'd just like to remind people that coming up on this coming Wednesday, on Twitch only, is the Night Terrors double feature of the week. Guest hosted by Gotcha Man. And that's going to include Dying Room Only, written by Richard Matheson, who also wrote episodes of Rod Serling's Twilight Zone. So good Twilight Zone type movie to lead with. Starring Cloris Leachman, Ross Martin, and Ned Beatty. And in this, in Dying Room Only, a woman's husband disappears unexplainably from a roadside diner. They stop at a roadside diner and the husband disappears. Real good movie. That's going to be followed this Wednesday by Quintet, starring Paul Newman, as you can see. It's a movie about a post-apocalyptic world of games. And it was directed by Robert Altman, famous director who also directed the Oscar-winning movie MASH. So good post-apocalyptic movie there. A rare gem, and you don't see it often on TV. So join us there or be square. On Twitch, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Heinonen said, I was standing completely still. Suddenly I felt as if somebody had seized my waist from behind and pulled me backwards. I think I took a step backwards, he says. And in the same second, I caught sight of a creature. It was standing in the middle of a light beam. With a black box in its hands. Out of a round opening in the box, there came a yellow light, which was pulsating. The time was 4:45 p.m. on Wednesday the 7th, January 1970. The place was Imjarvi, 15 kilometers northwest of Heinola, in southern Finland. I gotta mute myself over here. Thank you. Is it muted? No. Mute me, please. Mute me, please. Thank you. Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Thank you. And a farmer was with Heinonen. Oh, wait, it says Woodman Arno Heinonen, age 36, and farmer Esko Viljo, 38, both active competition skiers, were out skiing. They came down from a little hill to a glade, where they usually took a rest. It was sunset, and a few stars were visible in the unclouded sky, and it was very cold, negative 17 degrees Celsius. Sounds like that's near 0 degrees Fahrenheit. They had been standing in the glade for about 5 minutes when they heard a buzzing sound and caught sight of a very strong light moving through the sky. It approached from the north, made a wide sweep, and came at them from the south, descending as it came. The faint buzzing sound became louder. The light halted, and then they could see that a luminous red-gray mist was swirling around it, puffs of smoke thrown up from the top of the cloud. The two men stood quite still, staring into the air, saying nothing. The cloud was soon as low as 15 meters, and they could see what was inside it. A round object, flat at the bottom, metallic in appearance, and about 3 meters in diameter. Heinonen's account, as reported by Guykoff, the Gothenburg UFO Information Center, runs like this. Quote from Heinonen. The round half hovered a while, completely motionless above us, while the buzzing sound could still be heard quite low. Then the huge disc began to descend along the red-gray fog, which became more thin and transparent. It stopped at a height of 3 to 4 meters, so near I could have touched it if I had reached out with my ski pole. The craft was completely round, except for being flat at the bottom. When it came down obliquely towards us, I saw it had a dome on the upper side. Along the lower edge was a kind of raised part on which there were 3 spheres or domes spaced equidistantly. From the center of the bottom projected a tube, approximately 25 centimeters in diameter, from which there suddenly came an intense beam of light. I don't think we said anything to each other at all. We were completely amazed. We saw the light move a couple of times before stopping and intensely illuminating a patch of snow, about 1 meter in diameter, with around it a dark edge, almost coal black and 1 centimeter wide. I was standing completely still. Suddenly I felt as if somebody had seized my waist from behind and pulled me backwards. I think I took a step backwards. And in the same second, I caught sight of the creature. It was standing in front of me in the middle of the light beam, with a black box in its hands. Out of a round opening in the box, there came a yellow light. It was pulsating. The creature was about 90 centimeters tall, with very thin arms and legs. Its face was pale, like wax. I did not notice the eyes, but the nose was very strange. It was a hook rather than a nose. The eyes were very small and narrow towards the head. I'm sorry, the ears. He didn't notice the eyes. The ears were very small and narrow towards the head. The creature wore some kind of overall in light green material. On its feet were boots of a darker green color, which stretched above the knees. There were also white gauntlets going up to the elbows, and the fingers were bent like claws around the black box. Bent like claws, wow. Viljo says, the creature stood in the middle of the bright light and was luminous like phosphorus, but its face was very pale, its shoulders very thin and slanted, with thin arms like that of a child. I did not think of the clothes. I only noticed that they were greenish in color. On its head was a conical helmet, which shone like metal. The creature was less than 1 meter tall. 90 centimeters. 90 centimeters being the portion of the 1 meter. Yeah, almost 1 meter. Well, they're both right together on the size there. Suddenly it turned. Excuse me. Suddenly it turned and directed the opening of the box towards Heinonen. The pulsating light was very bright, almost blinding, and it was silent in the snowy forest. Suddenly a red-gray mist came flowing down from the object, and large sparks started to fly from the illuminated circle of snow. The sparks were like tapers, about 10 centimeters long, or about a foot long, I guess. Red, green, and violet. They floated out in long curves rather slowly. Many of them hit me, says Viljo. But though I expected them to burn me, I did not feel anything. The sparks were shining in several colors. It was very beautiful. At the same time, the red mist became thicker and hid the creature. Suddenly, it was so dense that I could not see Arno, even though I knew he was standing only a few meters away. Heinonen says, I could only just see Esko. The mist was very thick, and I could no longer see the creature. Viljo. I saw the being for perhaps 15 to 20 seconds, no longer. Suddenly the beam melted, flew up like a flickering flame, and was sucked into the gap in the craft. After that, it was as if the fog curtain was torn to pieces. The air above us was empty. I don't think you could say we were afraid. We were laughing and talking about this light. But at the same time, we felt a little uneasy. A little. They just saw a humanoid. They felt a little uneasy. End quote. They stayed there for perhaps 3 minutes. Gradually, Heinonen became aware of a numbness in his right side. When he stepped forward on his skis, his right leg would not support him, and he fell into the snow. Quote, my right leg had been nearest to the light. The whole leg was stiff and aching. My foot was as if it was anesthetized. End quote. According to Viljo, it was growing dark. I asked Arno if we should be on our way. I thought he was joking when he sat down in the snow, but then I saw he couldn't get up, although he did try over and over again. Viljo had to half-carry, half-track his friend to his home, some 3 kilometers distant. Well, at least it wasn't 8 kilometers, which is 5 miles. So 3 kilometers, about 2 miles? Which is still not, I mean, dragging a guy. That's the snow. Hopefully he had a slippery snowsuit. Tie a rope to his legs. And drag him like that. I kid. When they got home, said Heinonen's mother, it was dark outside. They knocked on the door, which they usually do not do. When I opened the door, Arno was outside leaning against Esko. I helped them in. Neither seemed frightened, but I could see Esko's face was red and swollen. We got Arno over to a sofa. Heinonen said, quote, I felt ill. My back was aching and all my joints were painful. My head ached, and after a while I had to vomit. When I went to pee, the urine was nearly black. It was like pouring black coffee onto the snow. Oh, he went outside the house to pee. Of course he did. This continued for a couple of months, he says. Jesus. Hope he went to a doctor. Viljo says, I hurried to the nearest neighbor, who lives some 600 meters away, so went yet another half a click. He has a telephone. The first 2 doctors I called could not come, but Dr. Kajanoja said he would meet us at Heinola Clinic in an hour's time. The neighbor drove us there. At the doctor, Heinonen complained about his aching joints and his headache. The doctor prescribed sleeping pills, next day sedatives, and told him the symptoms would be gone in 10 days. But they continued. And Heinonen was unable to work. In May, he reported he was still ill, with pains in the head and neck. The least effort tired him. The numbness in his right leg had gone, but he still had trouble with his balance. His memory was so bad that if he left home, he had to say where he was going so he could be picked up. if he did not return. A visit to the site of the incident made him feel worse. Several people who had visited the site, said Viljo, had left sick for some days afterwards. He wondered if the place was infected in some way. He too suffered after effects, including headaches and eye trouble. Dr. Paul Kachanoja reports, I think the men suffered a very great shock. Viljo was very red in the face and seemed a little swollen. Both seemed absent-minded. They talked quickly and incoherently. I could not find anything clinically wrong with Heinonen. He did not feel well, but that could have been his stomach reacting to the shock. The symptoms he described are like those of being exposed to radioactivity. Unfortunately, I had no instrument to measure that. As to the black urine, it seems unexplainable. Possibly it could have been blood, but this cannot go on for several months. If blood samples have been taken, they might have revealed changes in his blood. Both men seemed sincere, and I don't think they made the thing up. I'm sure they were in a state of shock when they came to me. Something must have frightened them. End quote. A strange thing happened in June of 1970 when the two witnesses revisited the site together with a Swedish journalist, a photographer, and an interpreter. The hands of the three strangers suddenly became red, and Heinonen had to leave the site with a powerful headache. Did they remember to bring a radioactivity detector this time? Evidently not. On the same day and at the same time as the skiers had their experience, two other people saw a bright light in the sky. A farmer's wife, Elna Siltari, in Pasjärvi, about 15 kilometers from Imjarvi, was on her way to the cow house when she saw a strange light in the direction of Imjarvi. In Pazo, 10 kilometers north of Imjarvi, the son of a household had gone out for firewood when he observed a light phenomenon. It was then 4:45 p.m. Matti Turi, professor in electrophysics at Helsinki, was very interested in the incident. We can't exclude the impossibility that the injuries could have been caused by electrical radiation, but both state that the light was blinding and white, so it could not have been ultraviolet radiation, which is always bluish. Besides, it does not penetrate clothing. If the radiation penetrated Heinonen's clothing, it must have been a shortwave radiation, such as X-rays. No dose of these would cause symptoms such as those he reported. There is much more in electrophysics which has yet to be explored. One is only to mention ball lightning. We know it exists, but the physical laws defining its existence have yet to be established. According to the known laws of physics, ball lightning should blow up immediately, but it does not. The incident at Heinola seems likely to be an abnormal electrical phenomenon. That looks like the professor's official statement. The Institute for High Voltage Research at J.P. Sala University told Gaikov they did not think the phenomenon was related to any kind of atmospheric electricity. Soil, vegetation, and snow samples from the site were sent to Chalmers Institute of Technology for radiation tests, but revealed no more than normal radiation background. That is so creaky, man. I don't want to go back there. I don't want to get red hands. To complicate a situation which already defies explanation, we have to consider Heinonen's claim that between the time of the incident and August of 1972, he had no less than 23 further UFO sightings. As if that were not enough, he has become a contractor. On 2 occasions he met an extremely beautiful spacewoman. After a loud female voice had directed him to a secluded rendezvous. At the first encounter, he also saw a man standing about 60 meters behind the woman. He was wearing a different blouse suit, which rustled when she moved. She was 1.5 meters tall, with shoulder-length hair and blue eyes, a description recalling Adamski's Venusian. She didn't walk like a human, but floated or hovered. Though she looked about 20, he told them she was 180, as Menger's Venusian did. In her hand, she held a silvery ball with 3 aerials pointing at Heinonen. Fortunately, she spoke in Finnish and began her conversation with Hayapalva, or Hayapaiva, or how do you do? She told him she came from a green and pleasant land. 2 different species of humanoids had visited Imjarvi, she said. Some smaller than a height of about 2 meters high. She said that the January incident had lasted 3 minutes, not just a few seconds, as the 2 witnesses thought. So she knows better than the witnesses. At their second meeting, Heinonen again asked where she came from. She told him to hurry home, and he could see the beautiful craft she had come to in. And indeed, when he had got home, he saw an object some 5 to 7 diameters in the distance. On each occasion, Heinonen spoke with the space woman for 5 minutes, but can recall surprisingly little of what she said. You have coffee, good. This story's knocking you out, I know. I do have some coffee. Takes 45 minutes to take effect, though, unfortunately. That's all we have left. Yeah, my apologies. I'm no longer chewing tobacco, so I have no artificial means to immediately wake me up. I do have other substances which I haven't tried yet. But no, it's not white. It's not a powder. But coffee takes 45 minutes to work. So by the time I'm signing off, oh, the time changed already. Did it? The time changed already? No, not yet. I guess at midnight it's supposed to change. And then it changes to, let's see, fall back. We gain an hour. We gain an extra hour to sleep. Taco says, don't drink those horrible fizzy caffeinated drinks. I never have. I have never, ever had one. It sounds like the taste would really suck. Sounds like good advice, Taco. Thank you. So, Eldergrown believes at 2 a.m. the clocks are going to switch. So at 2 a.m., they go back to 1 a.m. Okay, we'll be okay. But tobacco will wake you right up, but I'm not chewing anymore, so I totally suck. Got to figure out some way to keep myself up. I'm supposed to be an entertainer. Spring forward, fall back, reminds Nose Picking. Nose Picking, thanks for coming over to Twitch, man. Really appreciate it. And thanks for the letting us show part of your video there. I'm about to remove it forever from the show. I hope it does. Okay, Heinonen's claim that he saw 23 further UFO sightings. If there were not enough, he has become a contactee. On 2 occasions, he met an extremely beautiful spacewoman. After a loud female voice had directed him to a secluded rendezvous. Taco says Fremantle coffee works faster than 45 minutes. Wish I could find a coffee like that. Don't take the risk. Don't take the risk of sending me any. I don't want you to get in trouble. At the first encounter, he also saw a man standing about 60 meters behind the woman he encountered. I guess that's his personal encounter, but not just a sighting. She was wearing a yellow trouser suit which rustled as she moved. She was, ooh. Oh, I thought I said 2 meters tall. She was 1.5 meters tall, 1.5 meters tall, with shoulder-length hair and blue eyes, a description recalling Adamski's Venusian. She did not walk like a human, but floated or hovered. Though she looked about 20 years old, she told him she was 180. In her hand, she held a silvery ball with 3 aerials pointing at Heinonen. Fortunately, she spoke Finnish and began her conversation with Haiva Paiva. How do you do? She told him she came from a green and pleasant land. 3 different species of humanoids had visited Imjarvi, she said. Some smaller than her, and visited Earth from Imjarvi. All right? It says here 3 different humanoid species had visited. Must be from. They forgot to put from. 3 different species of humanoids had visited from Imjarvi, she said. Some smaller than her, some of her height, and some about 2 meters high. She said that the January incident had lasted 3 minutes. Now it's just a few seconds, as the 2 witnesses thought. At their second meeting, Heinonen again asked where she came from. She told him to hurry home, and he would see the beautiful craft in which she had come. And indeed, when he got home, he saw an object some 5 to 7 meters in diameter in the sky. On each occasion, Heinonen spoke with the spacewoman for about 5 minutes, but can recall surprisingly little of what was said. On another occasion, both he and Vilho saw a being in Vilho's home, a being a little more than 1.5 meters, wearing a gray suit with pinstripes, suddenly stepping out of the wall and remaining standing in the middle of the floor. The 2 men gaped at it for 30 seconds, after which it vanished. Swedish ufologist Liljegren has drawn attention to the failure of Heinonen and Viljo to offer anything by way of concrete evidence. On one occasion, Heinonen received a green pen from the space beings, but he lent it to a researcher and never saw it again. Yeah, if you find something, people, never give it away. Don't give it to a scientist to analyze. It'll disappear, man. It'll disappear. A friend of my sister's found a meteorite once, and she was going to bring it to someone to take a look at it. And we said, don't leave it with them. Don't leave it with them. She left it with them. It disappeared. You know why? Because they're incredibly valuable. The size of the one she found might have been worth maybe $1,000. Who knows? Yeah, we saw it, and she let someone else have possession of it. I want to let go of it without receiving money in the other hand. This is back when we were kids. Welcome, Colin. Colin Lembedarn is here in the chat as Crowman 1965. Welcome, Crowman. Without question, these later accounts undermine the credibility of the witness says, claims the author, and throw a dubious light on their original story, claims the author, as in the De Wilde case in France, the Hill case in the United States. Barney and Betty Hill? Oh, bull pucky. There is no doubt thrown on the Hill case. This is why I don't know what they're talking about. And many more. What seems at first to be an interesting and serious incident. It is an interesting and serious incident. A curious postscript. In February 1969, in other words, about a year earlier, a 16-year-old boy, Matti Kantelinen, had a strange experience only 100 meters or so from the slope where Heinonen and Viljo had their encounter. It was a cloudy winter evening about 11 p.m., says Matti. I was skiing home through a forest after visiting a friend. It was dark, but suddenly the forest was lit up by an intense light just above the treetops at so low an altitude that I threw myself down in the snow. It was like a huge welding flame, and it disappeared in no time. I had never seen such an intense light. It was like staring at the sun. It was coming from the south and heading north. I heard no sound, so I'm sure it wasn't an airplane. Maddie. Oh, is it? At age 46, so 30 years later. Maddie, 30 years later, is a farmer in Imjarvi and a member of the Hainola Rural District Council. His farm is only 1 kilometer distant from Hainonen's home. He says, quote, "Many people in this neighborhood have laughed at this story, but I don't think it's anything to joke about. I've known both Arno and Esko since they were little boys. They're both quiet, rational fellows, and moreover, they are abstainers. They don't drink. I'm sure their story is true." End quote. Author Arno Hainonen's 1972 contacts with humanoid being. These reports provided by Albert Rosales. So for the reports there. We have another suggestion we haven't got to. Let's go there now. Let me turn the time. This time being 11:28. I'm putting in chapters now, folks, which is why I occasionally notate what we're talking about. New chapter, 11:28. That's going to be from Green Tea. Too bad they couldn't give the coordinates of that place where they saw the light. We could have looked at it in Google Earth. From Green Tea. Dinosaur feathers found in amber. Beautiful dinosaur tail found preserved in amber. BBC News. Let's check this out. Love the BBC. Wow. The tail of a feathered dinosaur has been found perfectly preserved in amber from Myanmar. This story at bbc.com. Beautiful dinosaur tail found preserved in amber is the title, and it's written by Paul Rinson. Eldergone wants to know, how do they know it's from a dinosaur and not an early bird? Let's find out. I like the BBC because it's a different news source, that's all. I'm not saying it's always accurate. The tail of a feathered dinosaur has been found perfectly preserved in amber. The one-of-a-kind discovery helps put flesh on the bones of these extinct creatures, opening a new window on the biology of a group that dominated Earth for more than 160 million years. Examination of this specimen suggests the tail was chestnut brown on the top and white on its underside. Wow. Show us the other side. Show us the white side. A CT scan reveals how feathers were inserted along the tail. The tail is described in the current Journal of Current Biology. Should we get this from the original source? Why is this gray? Oh, yes, except cookie settings. Cookie settings. Strictly necessary. Confirm. Thank you. Results and discussion. Ooh, interesting. A paper. Volume 26, Issue 24. This from the Open Archive of Current Biology at Cell.com. Highlights. The first non-avian theropod fragments preserved in amber are described. So, not from a bird. Outlines of vertebrae, curvature, and plumage suggest a source within Coelurosauria, Coelurosauria. Branching structure in the feathers supports a barbel first evolutionary pattern. Iron within carbonized soft tissue suggests traces of original material are present. Summary. In the 2 decades since the discovery of feathered dinosaurs, the range of plumage known from non-avian theropods has expanded significantly. This is a little bit... Let's read the translation for humans. Co-author Ryan McKellar of the Royal Saskatchewan Museum in Canada told the BBC News, "This is the first time we found dinosaur material preserved in amber." The study's first author, Li Xing from the China University of Geosciences in Beijing, discovered the remarkable fossil at an amber market in Myanmar. The 99-million-year-old amber had already been polished for jewelry, and the seller had thought it was plant material. On closer inspection, however, it turned out to be the tail of a feathered dinosaur about the size of a sparrow. Dr. McKellar said examination of the tail's anatomy showed it definitely belonged to a feathered dinosaur and not an ancient bird. Well, I knew that I was thinking about something about a hairbrush, but I'm not going to say it because I need more coffee and it's not taking effect fast enough. Quote, "We can be sure of the source because the vertebrae are not fused into a rod or pygostyle or pygostyle or pygostyle, pygostyle. How do you pronounce that word? A rod or a pygostyle. Can't be pygostyle, right? Where's our dictionary? I want to get rid of this. Go, get away. Get thee hence. Stay, okay, you can stay. Dictionary. What's a pygostyle? Pygostyle. Pehigostyle. Pehi? No way. Pehigostyle? Stale.
Pygostyle.
Crowman says pygostical plectorium. Rhino Rex says not entirely sure what to make of it myself, and Rhino Rex should know. Okay, back to the article. Which is where? Not there. Right here. Right here. Co-author Professor Mike Benton. I'm sorry. Instead, the tail is long and flexible, with keels of feathers running down each side. Dr. McKellar said there are signs of the dinosaur still contained fluids when it was incorporated into the tree resin that eventually formed the ember. This indicates it could have even have become trapped in the sticky substance while it was still alive. Co-author Professor Mike Benton from the University of Bristol added, "It's amazing to see all the details of a dinosaur tail, the bones, the flesh, the skin, and the feathers. And to imagine how this little fellow got his tail caught in the resin, and then presumably died because he could not wrestle free. Examination of the chemistry of the tail where it was exposed at the surface of the ember even shows up traces of ferrous iron, a relic of the blood that was once in the sample. The findings also shed light on how feathers were arranged on these dinosaurs, because 3D features are often lost due to the compression that occurs when corpses become fossils in sedimentary rocks. The feathers lack the well-developed central shaft, a rachis, known from modern birds. Their structure suggests that the two finest tiers of branching in modern feathers, such as barbs and barbules, arose before the rachis formed. Yeah, because this says barbs and barbules. What's a barbule? A barb is like a thorn, right? Or a hook. A barb's like a hook. What's a barbule? Where's that dictionary? Barbule. What's a barbule? Kanga Kong asks, isn't ember petrified tree sap? Yes, it is. I don't know if it petrifies or not, but it is tree sap. It must be petrified tree sap, right? Yeah, it gotta be. Barbule. Dikamasi guesses a bar for mules? Any other small processes fringing the barbs of a feather. So, one's down at the root of the main barb, maybe? Fringing the barbs of the feather. I don't know why I look at my hand. I am like in tired land right now. And my mind is thinking of things that have nothing to do with the show. Like, I just thought, it's so weird, but I thought I could see on my hand whether or not there were barbules. I can't see that on my hand. Yeah, slipping into the other realm here. Slipping into an alternate realm is Bill. Okay, so continuing. Co-author Professor Mike Benton from the University of Bristol added, quote, "It's amazing to see all the details of a dinosaur tail. The bones, flesh, skin, and feathers. And to imagine how this little fellow got his tail caught in the resin, and then presumably died because he could not wrestle free. Examination of the chemistry of the tail, where it was exposed to the surface of the ember, even shows up traces of ferrous iron, a relic of the blood that was once in the sample. Findings also shed light on how feathers were arranged on these dinosaurs." I read all of this already. Where's some new stuff? This small dinosaur might have been alive when it was trapped in amber. I won't tell you what the dinosaur is, though. We can be sure of the source because the vertebrae are not fused into a rod or a pygostyle. Or pygostyle. Pygostyle? Still don't know how to say that word. There's barbule. Where's the other one? Pygostyle?
Pygostyle.
Pygostyle. Pygostyle. Instead, the tail is long and flexible, with keels of feathers running down each side. Dr. McCullough said there are signs that the dinosaur still contained fluids. Co-author Professor Mike Benton. I've read all of this twice already. Examination of the chemistry of the tail where it was exposed Shows up traces of ferrous iron. I read that. The findings also shed light on how feathers were arranged on these dinosaurs. I read that. The feathers lack a well-developed central shaft, a rachis, known for modern birds. Their structure suggests that the two finest tiers of branching in modern feathers, known as barbs and barbules, arose before the rockets. Arose before the rachis. The two finest tiers of branching. There's a feather being the finest material. I see. 33 Team says, I miss the beginning days of the channel. This is cool. I just miss the old days. Well, don't forget to check out Rumble, where the original shows are showing in order from Monday through Friday at noon p.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Pacific. If you're at work, Monday through Friday, check us out over on Rumble. All the old shows in order, and we just started showing them in their original order in their original order over on Rumble. Elderground says, a Fumbago style. What haven't we read yet? Kachin State in northeastern Myanmar, where the specimen was found, has been producing amber for 2,000 years because of the large quantity of insects preserved in the deposits. Over the last 20 years, it has become a focus for scientists who study ancient arthropods. Dr. McKellar said, the large amber pieces often get broken up in the mining process. By the time we see them, I lost it. By the time we see them, what? They have often been turned into things like jewelry. We never know how much of the specimen is missing. If you had a complete specimen, for example, could you look at how feathers were arranged across the whole body? Or could you look at other soft tissue features that don't usually get preserved? Well, there ought to be a scientist working there, man. There ought to be a scientist working there. Get a job at the company, or at least get an internship at the company. Get a non-paid position there. Other preserved parts of the feathered dinosaur might reveal whether it was flying or gliding. McKellar explained there have been other anecdotal reports of similar specimens coming from the region. But if they disappear into private collections, then they're lost to science. Quite happy with my voice tonight. I hydrated before my nap instead of after. Verpeen saw a lot of the old episodes, but not all of them, so he is enjoying them on Rumble. Thank you, Verpeen. As should all you other guys. Enjoy them on Rumble. Dr. Paul Barrett from London's Natural History Museum of History. Museum of Natural History, called the specimen a beautiful fossil, describing it as a really rare occurrence of vertebrate material in amber. He told the BBC News, feathers have been removed in amber before. Feathers have been recovered in amber before. So that aspect is not new. But what this new specimen shows is the 3D arrangement of feathers in a Mesozoic dinosaur for the first time. As almost all the other feathered dinosaur fossils and Mesozoic bird skeletons that we have are flattened and 2D only, obscuring some important features of their anatomy. The new amber specimen confirms ideas from developmental biologists about the order in which some of the detailed features of modern feathers, such as barbs and barbules, the little hooks that hold the barbs together so that the feather can form a nice, neat vein, would have appeared also. Earlier this year, scientists also described ancient bird wings that have been discovered in amber. From the same area of Myanmar. Now I want to see that picture. Is there a hot link? Ancient bird wings. Click on there. Get bird wings preserved in amber. The wings possess little claws to allow the birds to climb around in the trees. I am trying to stay awake, people. The Rumble videos are cool, says Green Tea. Thank you, Green Tea. Yeah, how dangerous? Green Tea says, looks like there was a lot of dangerous tree sap happening. Why was amber tree sap so dangerous? How did amber capture so many insects? Get an answer from relevant content on the web. Duck Assist Beta. That's an AI generator. Let's try the AI generator. Amber captures insects when tree resin oozes out of trees, such as conifers, to protect themselves from injury or infection. As the sticky resin flows down the trunk, it can ensnare insects and other small organisms, which then become trapped as the resin hardens and fossilizes over millions of years. How did amber get its aquatic insects at water-seeking water-seeking polarotactic insects trapped by tree resin? Amber contains numerous well-preserved adult aquatic insects, beetles, water bugs, dragonflies, mayflies, stoneflies. Since amber is fossilized resin of terrestrial conifer trees, it is an enigma how aquatic insects have ended up in the resin. But what? But I'll get it eventually. How did amber get? Why this paper? Havoc Journal. How did amber get its aquatic insects? Can I go back here? Yeah, please. Okay. Good. Now we're out of it. Keep thinking I see things in the corner of my eyes. T-Ceratops finds all that dinosaur stuff fascinating, he says. How amber becomes death trap for water creatures. Yeah, how? How amber becomes a death trap for watery creatures. Shiny amber jewelry and a mucky Florida swamp have given scientists a window into an ancient ecosystem. It could be anywhere. It could be anywhere from 15 to 130 million years ago. Scientists at the University of Florida and the Museum of Natural History in Berlin made the landmark discovery that prehistoric aquatic critters such as beetles and small crustaceans unwittingly swim into resin flowing down into the water from pine-like trees. Their findings are published in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. The resin with its entombed inhabitants settled to the bottom of the swamp, was covered by sediment, and after millions of years became amber, a bejeweled version of the tar pits that trapped saber-toothed tigers and what is now togas. Yeah, my apologies. Oh, Triceratops is a chick. Okay, I must remember. I think I can remember that. Thank you, Triceratops. I should write that down. Triceratops is a chick. Thank you, T. I do like to know the gender or lack thereof of my viewers. Time minus 7 minutes, says Renee. I think it switches switches. Let's find out. When does daylight savings time kick in? Let's go here, find it. When does daylight savings time kick in the U.S.? When does daylight savings time kick in the U.S.? What time of day? According to the search results, daylight saving times end on Sunday, November 3rd at 2 a.m. local time. Okay, so it'll be about 2 hours from now. It'll switch from 2 o'clock back to 1 o'clock. So don't forget your those clocks that don't go backward automatically. Remember your cute little quartz clocks. And this coming Wednesday, don't forget we have a movie coming up this Wednesday, guest hosted by Gotcha Man. First movie being Dying Room Only, one of those made-for-TV horror movies during the Vietnam era, in which a woman's husband disappears after they stop over at a roadside diner. Starring Cloris Leachman, who was Phyllis in the Mary Tyler Moore Show, Ross Martin, who played second fiddle to James West in Wild Wild West, and Ned Beatty, who perhaps is best well known as the guy who squeals like a pig in Deliverance. He's much more menacing here than he was in Deliverance. This is the story for this, and the script for this was written by Richard Matheson, a famous horror story writer who also wrote scripts for Rod Serling's Twilight Zone. So you're not going to miss out on seeing the movie Dying Room Only. That's going to be followed by Quintet, starring Paul Newman, who finds himself in a post-apocalyptic world of death and of games and death. Death and games, games and death. Of games and unalivings. It's directed by Robert Altman, a famous director, and it's a really atmospheric film. One of my favorites. These two from my personal collection. He's a good author, agrees Triceratops. Thank you, dear. So let's join us on Wednesday. Until then, may God bless and protect you all.